Do you want to know how to teach a child to control their emotions? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication and how to build strong family bonds all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about emotions. In this video, we're going to learn a little bit about emotional regulation, what that is and why we need to master it. And then we're going to talk about how to teach your child to do emotional regulation. Emotional regulation can be difficult. We're all a little bit different. We're unique, right? Our brains function differently and process things in different ways. We've had different experiences, maybe traumas or things from our past that trigger us in certain ways. And we have to decide at one point or another, am I okay processing like that? Is that all right with me? How often do we ask ourselves those types of reflective questions? Well, I'm going to tell you something, not usually. A lot of people, when they experience some sort of emotional trigger or something like that, just immediately go into an autopilot mode where either they shut down or they fight back or whatever it is that they've trained themselves to do. They may not even recognize that they have trained themselves to do these things. Children do this, adults do this, everybody does this. At one point or another, a person says, I have had enough with running to my room. I can't run to my room forever. It doesn't seem to be really helping me. There's got to be something else. So then they start looking for something else and trying something else. How beautiful would it be if we just gave them something else that's for sure going to work every time? Well, I'm going to talk about that, but first I think we need to understand our emotions just a little bit better. When a person is able to regulate their emotions, what that means is that they understand an emotion isn't an instant thing. Now, I know emotions come on quick. It seems like emotions are pretty instantaneous, but they are not. In fact, what happens first is you experience a feeling. You might feel something. Maybe you feel cold. Maybe you feel frightened. Or maybe you feel tired. It could be anything, okay? You feel some sort of feeling. It might come from another person. Someone might be expressing or emoting something that then causes you to feel what it is, whatever message that they're sending. After you experience that feeling, there is a split second where you have the opportunity to think something. You have a thought. Maybe the thought is, I can't handle this. Or maybe the thought is, I have a skill for this. Or maybe the thought is, I've been here before, it's going to be okay. Or the opposite of that thought could be, every time this happens, I always have this experience. It's over. Those little thoughts that you have are programmed. You decided at one point or another that that was your truth. That was what you were going to believe in a circumstance exactly like that. Whenever you feel that feeling, you would assess it with this inside vocabulary, which may or may not be accurate. It may feel true to you because you've processed that way many, many times, but it might not be. And then after you have this little thought, you have an auto response, which is called your emotion. This is when you either explode, or you retreat, or you cry, or you talk back, or whatever it is. Or you take a moment and you get calm. Did you know that that could actually be an emotional response? That you could think something that could lead you to go, get calm. Now my emotional plan is to get calm and get ready. Not a lot of people even think of that as an option. They think of emotions as something that happened to them, and so they use them as excuses. But in reality, you can decide which emotional response you want to have based upon the thought pattern that you develop in your head. So how do we help children control their emotions or regulate their emotions? Is there an easier way than trying to dive inside their head and have them try to figure out every thought they've had? There is an easier way. There are skills that you can use for success. We're going to talk about some of those. If you've subscribed to this channel already, then you know I talk a lot about skills of self-government, things that can empower people to actually take the steps forward that they've been hoping to take for such a long time. No different are our children. They don't like being upset. They don't like battling. Even the oppositional defiant child gets worn out when they have a battle, even if they get a slight high from the chemical release that happens, the endorphins from the fight. they still don't really like it. They like being right. That's what they like. But the fight still takes their energy and it's kind of a burden. So what can we do for them? We need to teach them some skills that they need for success. Now, explaining to your child about the feelings, the thoughts, and the emotions is powerful. That is going to be helpful. It will be liberating for them so that they can start thinking, what do I think in those moments? And then the next time they have a moment where they have an outburst, you can say, wait, hold on a second. What was the thought that you just had right before that? And they might be able to find it if they aren't already in back brain and lost most of their function. They might be able to find it. And then you can say, aha, that's the thought that leads you down this fighting path. But you don't have to fight. What if you thought, I have a skill for that called disagreeing appropriately? When you teach your children the skills for how to communicate with you and how to solve your problems, then the child ends up feeling more secure and confident in all of their communications. And they end up solving their problems, which then leads to more confidence in more communication. We have to give them a starting point, and that's where the skills of self-government come in. So there are 4 basic skills of self-government, which are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. These 4 basic skills are the beginning phase of self-regulation. All of these 4 basic skills include steps related to calmness, and they focus on your ability to choose it. You choose the calmness. You choose the words to say. And when you learn disagree appropriately, which is usually all of the children's favorite skill, unless they're oppositional defiant, in which case you have to work a little harder to get them to use it. And I've seen this over all of my years doing foster care with troubled youth and also raising all of my children and now seeing my children use the same principles with their children. What I'm seeing is this disagree appropriately skill really is the means to helping them sort out that inner dialogue. It helps them learn to pause and assess because they have to stop and think about what the other person may be feeling or thinking or experiencing and then express their point of view in relation to that. That moment of stopping before speaking and assessing helps a person more than anything else be able to control their emotions. There are so many more things that I could teach you about controlling emotions, and so I would like to recommend another video about self-regulation. The video is called Skills for Emotional Regulation. Click on the link to that video now, and we'll go into more skill development that should help you and your family get better at regulation.